Welcome back to the Price Wall Podcast. Today is going to be all about vitamin B12 and potentially the best form of vitamin B12 on the market. We are here with the team from HTBA, Health Tech Bioactives, and I have Teresa Pellicer, who is a pharmacologist, and she is the R&D manager in biotechnology. And then we have Bernardo Gonzaga, who is the divisional manager for functional health solutions. Bernardo and Teresa, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to get really into the science of B12 and what HTBA is doing specifically with MecobalActive, because you have a study that we've wanted to get done for decades. So thanks for doing it and everything. Please welcome to the show and introduce yourselves, and let's get into it.
Thank you so much for having us. Well, I'll let ladies first. Teresa, if you'd like to go.
Okay, well, thank you, Bernardo. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Van, for having us here today. It's really a pleasure, and we were looking forward to having this conversation with you and letting you know all about vitamin B12, which is quite a lot. I'm sure that Bernardo will tell you a bit of the story of the company. And also, well, yeah, so as I said, I am in charge of the biotech projects within the R&D area, and I also give support to the commercial team and the marketing team related to vitamin B12. And in the past, I studied pharmacology, and I was kind of impressed by the molecular mechanisms of life. So that's why I decided to go into a PhD in molecular biology and biochemistry. And after a little period in the academia, I was given the opportunity to move to the private sector, always in R&D, and I found it, just the right place for me to be. So I also lecture at university, still pharmacology, so I'm in touch with the talented new biotechnologists, which is always an inspiration. And I'm really happy to be here and very proud to be communicating and always working together with Bernardo and his team.
Thank you, Teresa. Guys, again, thank you for allowing us to be a part of this. You guys create some awesome content, so we're really happy to kind of share our message and our story. And so I've been in the industry 20 plus years now. Every year I have to recalculate just to remind myself how long I've been here. I've done it all. I mean, I started in retail shops. I was in supply chain. I've done merchandising. I've done sales. I've done product development. I've done planning. Now I'm here at HTBA for the last almost 4 years now, and I manage the division globally. So that means obviously the challenge is looking at the space not only from a domestic standpoint. I'm based in the United States, but also globally, right? And of course, this market is not just specific to here. I mean, obviously, in terms of innovation, there are a lot of amazing things that are coming out of this space, but we look at it at a whole global, on a global perspective, right? Which presents a different kind of challenge. Oftentimes, most companies never stop, or people really never stop to consider what kind of a challenge that is, right? Especially when it comes to science and regulatory landscape, and of course consumers and consumer behaviors and that sort of thing. So it's really great to be here, and again, thank you again.
Excellent, thanks. So yeah, give us the introduction on HTBA. Yeah, you're in Spain, and I believe that's where Teresa is at. So how do you know much about the founding of the company, and can you kind of tell us like how we got to where we're at now?
Yeah, so I mean, it's an awesome story, and actually one of the reasons why this is what attracted me to it, right? The company's been around for about almost 50 years, right? Originating in Spain as a leader in flavonoids production back then, since its finding in the 70s. Also, a global leader in vitamin B12 production. And in 2019, we were actually acquired by a private equity firm. We were owned by a European pharmaceutical company. They kind of broke off and sold this division, and we rebranded ourselves as Health Tech Bioactives, which is HTBA today. We have four major, I would say, businesses. Our core business, or our foundational business, is really the pharmaceutical side, right? That's something that we've been doing for a long time. So APIs, active pharmaceutical ingredients, and such. The division to which I pertain to and lead is functional health, right? So that's really your nutraceuticals, dietary supplements, but also functional foods and functional beverages and that sort of thing. We also have our taste modulation business, right, where taste is experience. I mean, you can have the greatest solution, and if it doesn't taste great, it's going to be very difficult to drive consumers to try it. So we specialize in that as well. And then, of course, animal nutrition, right? That's another segment. So those are our four main businesses. We've been around for a long time, and we're recognized as global experts in flavonoids and vitamin B12 as well.
Okay, so when you talk about pharmaceuticals, are you putting bioflavonoids or like B12 into drugs out here, or is it they're like totally different compounds you're working with on that front?
No, awesome question. I mean, oftentimes we get asked that, right? People to understand, and really, the short answer is yes. They're actually used as drug ingredients. Depending on the market, depending on the regulatory landscape, will determine kind of the final application, right? In North America, really, it's mainly nutraceuticals. I think that's historically how flavonoids have been utilized. But in other parts of the world, I mean, they've been utilized as drug compounds, really. So yes, the flavonoids, but also as well the B12.
The B12, I remember us talking about injectable B12. That's probably a large division for you guys, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you say the injectable, obviously that I love saying that because it provides a sense of credibility. Listen, this is not a space that everyone can kind of just jump right into. It takes a certain level of not only focus as a company, but also expertise, right? And that's what we do. That's why when we say we're global leaders, I mean, you- most people have never heard of HTBA. I certainly didn't. But when you look at the history and who we are on a global perspective, I mean, we are a leader. And when you talk about injectable, yeah, we're certainly involved in that. Yes.
That's really, I love the way that you put that, because so many times when we talk about nutraceuticals, we get into sports nutrition, and the like level of trust that people give to us like freely goes downwards. And so anytime we can relate back to the fact that you guys produce quality enough that you can be used in injectable forms, that says a lot for your quality processes. I know we're going to spend like the vast majority of today talking about B12, so I do want to get bioflavonoids out of the way. Funny little story is that I met with you first time, Bernardo, this year at Supply Side, New Jersey, not Supply Side East anymore. And Mike set up the meeting for us. And when I showed up, you and I talked about bioflavonoids for most of the meeting, not B12. And so when I gave Mike like my download of after the show, I was like, yeah, the bioflavonoid guys are great. And he's like, you mean the B12 guys? And I was like, no, dude, they make bioflavonoids. And it's like, I'm really excited to talk about B12 today because there are so many like landmark things you've done for us there. But some other day, I'd love to really dive into like, there's a huge sustainability and biodiversity thing that you guys talk about with your bioflavonoids. So,
Absolutely.
big congrats on that, because I know we're going to spend a lot of time talking about B12 today, but the stories about how you guys utilize, the oranges that maybe won't go to market for several other reasons, like it says a lot about your guys' character that you care about that stuff.
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit because that's helps with the company story right here.
Could you tell us a little bit about that initiative that you guys do in Spain with the orange selection?
Yeah, yeah, love to. I think this is a great, not only storage, but it's a testament to who we are, right? As a company, for us, sustainability is at the foundation. So we really care about the impact we have to the environment, right? So one of the things that we do, we actually source citrus flavonoids in the form of these baby oranges, right? So oftentimes you think of, okay, you're doing citrus extracts, but where are they coming from, right? So you picture these nice looking oranges that you buy at the market, or these nice lemons or grapefruit and whatnot, right? Something that looks fresh and ready to kind of consume, right, in a fruit salad. That's not the case. What we do is we actually collect the little baby oranges that fall naturally from the tree. That's pretty much scrap, right? And this is a natural process. Like the trees, when they're starting to bud and they're giving off fruit, some of it takes and some of it does not. So what we do is we collect what is the scrap. We collect from the ground, right? And that ultimately ends up going through our process, our proprietary processes, and that's where we get our flavonoid solutions. So it's something we're very proud of. We're very excited about kind of the achievements with regards to that, and it's something I think that we continue to kind of convey, not just to our potential customers, but also the consumers. I think it's important to understand that when it comes to manufacturing a product, there is a lot of detail, a lot of areas that maybe people don't stop and consider. Wow, they're also doing this, and I think it's just a fantastic story to tell. So.
Yeah, I think that's the real example of upcycling. I mean, it's not just recycling, it's really closing the whole circle, because otherwise that would be waste. And we give like a second life, and we make value, how to say, added value products out of it, and we also don't take stuff out from the food chain, because we also have the ESG for us is real. So it's not only environmental, but it's also social. So we really think about it, and we make the most out of it. So it's definitely, and additionally, because so I have to tell you that our factory is very nicely located in the middle of the lemon trees in the south of Spain. It's really beautiful. I mean, if you ever come, just come to Spain, just come and visit. I mean, we'll be happy to show it, because it's really beautiful. So it all started there when the people knowing, and also there are a lot of juices companies that make juices out of that. So they started thinking, oh, well, maybe this waste. So we didn't go for that, but from what we saw, as Bernardo was saying, so these baby oranges have very advantages from the technical point of view, and not everyone knows. And the thing is that all these essential oils that you find on the peel of the mature oranges are really very sticky when you try to extract the flavonoids. While in the baby one, they have not developed yet. So you can green them, and you have like a powder there, which is very easy, and so you don't need organic solvents. So the whole process is greener than otherwise you would do. So as Bernardo was saying, it's the whole thing. So it's really sustainability at the core of the company.
So it's not just a sustainability thing. It's actually better for you to use these. That's really fascinating. I was going to joke before that you must have a lot of these baby oranges on the ground to be able to support the entire supply chain, but it sounds like it's even more efficient for you guys. It's really incredible how full circle that is.
Yeah, well, certainly Tere can talk a lot more in depth about it. I mean, but it's actually it's impressive when you start to think about it, right? That's why I talk about, like, hey, a full orange, what are the advantages of the baby oranges? And as that it was kind of alluding to, it is a major advantage from a technologically and a manufacturing standpoint. It really is, and that's kind of the exciting thing, and that's some of the things that we kind of focus on, right? How can we better the process, right? We don't want to keep doing it the same way it's always been done, or just like everybody else. And that's where at HTBA what we do different is we try to take the next step, and we try to also improve in our processes whenever possible. So we're always pushing that.
Wow.
So I know we're going to get into B12, but one last thing on the bioflavonoids. Are there, do you have branded ingredients that you are selling for that purpose? Can you name a few of them just for us to like look up later and everything?
Yeah, so I would say probably one of our core ones is Diosvane. We have Diosvane, we have Cardios, we have Olus. I would certainly ask everyone to come and visit our website, htba.com, for more details. Also connect with us. We'd love to talk to you more about these solutions. We could spend easily 1 to 2 hours talking about one of those solutions and all the science.
Nice.
So I would say let's just, but I wanted to share that. Good question.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We've heard of a few of those. So yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. Maybe in a few months we'll come back and we'll get into one of those. So that would be really cool. So yeah. So back to the main topic of vitamin B12. As I was joking, I don't think a lot of people really even know what vitamin B12 does. They see it in their energy drink and they're just like, yeah, energy, metabolism. So can you first explain to us what the benefits of vitamin B12 are? And then let's talk about the whole, deficiency versus sufficiency, I guess. And then kind of like what you're doing differently and with MecobalActive, and then we'll get into the study and everything. But first, can we just have kind of a primer on B12 itself?
Sure. I'm happy to touch a part of it, and then I'll let Tere kind of touch a little bit more on the technical side. So vitamin B12, listen, it's familiar to everyone. It really is an ingredient that every household should be aware of, right? And they are. So that's one of the things that is very interesting about an ingredient like vitamin B12. When people hear about a solution that is vitamin B12, the first immediate response, the one that I came across myself personally, was, well, it's vitamin B12. What's exciting about vitamin B12, right? But that's what's amazing about it, is that there's still innovation that's being that can still be done. And in the sense of vitamin B12, I think it'd be easier to say what it doesn't do, because it does so much, right? It's so versatile. But really, what I would say is it's essential. It's an essential vitamin. Pretty much your body can't make it. You need to get it from your diet, some way, shape, or form, maybe through a supplement, right? But the point is that it's essential to life, right? It's essential for our nervous system. It's essential for a lot of other functions. But I think that's the most important takeaway from here, that it's a product that you definitely need to be consuming in some way, shape, or form, whether through your diet or whether through a dietary supplement. It's also important to note that it's not naturally occurring within usually like plant sources or plant foods. So for people who are, let's say, very plant-based type of regimen, right? Unless it's fortified, or unless your foods or your supplements or beverages are fortified, you're probably going to have to supplement it or getting it in an alternate form. So I think that's another important thing to point out.
Teresa,
Absolutely.
anything to add there? Yeah.
Yeah, well, as Bernardo was saying, it would be difficult to name a physiological role where vitamin B12 is not involved. But just to mention a few, if I had to pick three, I would pick, first of all, energy. So vitamin B12 allows you to transform the food you eat into the energy your body needs. So there, vitamin B12 is essential in doing that work. Second, red blood cell formation. So the cells in our blood that carry oxygen from the lungs when we breathe, and they take it and then they deliver to every cell, every organ, every tissue. Vitamin B12 is vital for that, is essential for that. And last but not least, our central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. So all our neurons depend absolutely on vitamin B12. So if for whatever reason you could be deficient, you would have anemia. So you would not have enough red blood cells. You would become unfocused, sluggish somehow. You will have memory issues because vitamin B12 supports your brains, and definitely you will have no energy. It's like as if you had a mobile which has not battery in it. I mean, so vitamin B12 is a continuous source of power. So just to name that in a nutshell. And then it's involved in many other things. But it's just vital, essential. So you don't have to think, should I, you need it. It's just for you, as Bernardo was saying, is vital.
Okay, I guess we will. Yeah, we'll get into the dosing as well, because how much do we need is a question. It probably depends on what your diet is. Like you're saying, like we know a lot of vegans and plant-based dieters. Aside from a few things out there, like maybe brewer's yeast or something like that, there's not many great sources. Like meat is oftentimes the source. So it seems like that's where we're being held. Now, I think we're going to be talking about methylcobalamin a lot, but like in meat, is it stored as methylcobalamin, or is it like, what is cobalamin? Is that like the core nucleus of the molecule? Like, is there a cobalt in there or something like that?
So vitamin B12 is also known as cobalamins. So it's a family of molecules which have a cobalt in the middle of it, in the structure, and thus the name cobalamin. And then there are different types of cobalamin. So basically the natural forms of cobalamin are three. So hydroxycobalamin, the ones that we manufacture and that can be injectable, and then adenosylcobalamin and methylcobalamin. We manufacture the three of them. So HTBA is the only European company capable of producing all three active and natural forms of vitamin B12. So they have different functions in our body, okay? But they are the adenosylcobalamin and methylcobalamin, they work as we call as cofactors. So they help proteins to work as they should do. So without it, the whole metabolic engineering of our cells stop. They break, they don't work. So like your neurons in your brains, they do not work. That's why you lose memory, that's why you're not focused, just because the lack of vitamin B12. So this methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin are the active forms, and hydroxycobalamin would be the natural form, which is usually which you can find in your blood, going from one tissue to the other, and also is the way in which it can be stored in your body. So and this is very important to know, because if you compare it to cyanocobalamin, which is another type of vitamin B12, but this one is synthetic, it's not natural, and it's not active. So if you choose to take this cyanocobalamin, you might be in trouble, because you will need to make 4 different reactions to change that inactive artificial form into the active form, which means that your body will need to spend energy in activating a molecule which otherwise you can have the natural form, active form. So that's why our methylcobalamin MecobalActive is just the right way to get the best vitamin B12. In addition to, and this I guess we will talk a bit later on about the process, so our manufacturing process, which is green and patented and so on. But definitely these are the 3 main forms, natural, and 2 of them active right away.
Okay, so with the cyanocobalamin, which I'm drinking right now, actually, there's a lot of, I guess, a lot of people talk about when they talk about the cyanide molecule being released when you ingest that and you're breaking it down, and you have to have all 4 of those pathways or all 4 of those steps metabolically active and all that. So I get that, but how concerned should I be about the cyanide I'm drinking right now? Is that a major thing, or is that just kind of a smaller thing, and it's the metabolic conversion that's more concerning?
Well, I might say the quantities you're taking are not going to be, I would say, toxicity in the short term. It's not. But if you think about supplementing with vitamin B12 because you're a vegan or you're a vegetarian, in the long term, that could be. So issues about these have been raised. Okay, well, concerns about the potential long-term toxicity. That's one. But also, there's another thing which is not mentioned that much, is about the demographics. So not everyone is able to transform cyanocobalamin into the active forms, because these 4 enzymes or these 4 proteins that you need to move from the inactive form to the active form, there are some people that have mutations in there. And it means I'm taking cyanocobalamin, is it going to be toxic? No, but it's not going to do anything to you. Is it as if you were just drinking water? So why take this option while you have the best active? And I would say, very importantly, natural option, because that's what your body knows. That's what we have. And excuse me, Mike, I think you asked just a couple of minutes, where is it methylcobalamin we find in meat? In meat, we usually find adenosylcobalamin. And in both in poultry and in red meat, and in fish and in shellfish. When it comes to eggs and dairy products, we will have methylcobalamin. Okay, so that would be the natural sources, as we said.
That's interesting, because you said earlier hydroxycobalamin is what's found in our blood. Adenosylcobalamin is found in meat. How did the whole world get fixated on methylcobalamin? Is it are we just appreciating the extra methyl groups that much, or is it? Can you kind of explain us why you would choose one over the other?
Bernardo, you want?
Yeah, I can share some feedback. So I think honestly, if you look at HTBA and you look at us and how it started, it was kind of the demands of the market, right? They were looking for, hey, somebody somewhere, all right, big pharmaceutical company, global company came and said, you know what, we want to introduce this product, methylcobalamin. We can't make it today, but can you think of anyone that could do it? As a global leader, they come and identified us, and they came to us and said, "Hey, can you guys make this for us?" And that's pretty much our introduction to methylcobalamin. That's how we got started on. Yeah, I think when it comes to innovation, oftentimes one of the things that we need to be as a manufacturing company, right? So we're a technology and manufacturing company with a certain expertise, right? One of the things that we need to do is pay extra close attention to what's happening in the market, right? And we do that. As an example, we look at marketing data all the time to try to understand what the demands of the market would be, right? As it pertains to functional health division, right? One of the things we want to do is we want to understand what can we offer, not just as an ingredient or another Me Too product, but as a legitimate solution, right, to the market, right? So part of it is, how do you do that, is you need to understand your consumers, right? And get this, we've actually looked and understood that 1 in 3 consumers globally have actually taken more action to be what they would call self-sufficient, right? In terms of health, finance, of course, but also health, right? This is talking. Today's consumer is more of the what we would call the healthy, proactive consumer. That's what they're doing. They're understanding. We're back in the days. My grandma used to give me a teaspoon of cod liver oil. It was supposed to be really good, and it tastes really good, right? But the omegas are supposed to be good, right? You took a multivitamin if you were lucky. I didn't until much later. But the point is, today we understand that consumers are certainly way more proactive. And by the way, just so you guys are aware, number one health goal. You guys ready for this? All right, mentally and emotional well-being for a lot of them, right? To me, that's just people want to be happy. That's how I take it. I think people just want to enjoy life. People want to feel well. And obviously, in terms of vitamin B12, after everything that Dede has commented on, I mean, it's the ideal solution for everyday individuals.
Okay, great. Thank you. So yeah, I guess that does bring us to the MecobalActive. And I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right, but
No, that was awesome.
your branded form of vitamin B12, which I love. Like, we've seen branded forms of folate and minerals, and for an ingredient or for like a molecule class that is this important, I think like the consumers are at the point now where we want the good stuff, and we want to know we're getting the good stuff, not just like a generic methylcobalamin, but one that's from a company that we trust. Like, I think the label readers, as you kind of alluded to, label readers are getting further and further along that place where they want the good stuff. They know, and they're looking and they're reading these labels. And I think the time is now for us to like kind of push this out there. So I'm excited about it. But can you give us the breakdown on MecobalActive?
Yeah, so let me give you my elevator pitch for MecobalActive, if you will, right? So MecobalActive, first and foremost, is a bioidentical and ready to work version for vitamin B12. So Dede have brought up a lot of good points, right? You see cobalamins out there in nature, and exactly in what forms, right? But MecobalActive is actually an active form of vitamin B12. That means that when you take it, your body it's already ready to go, right? And this is kind of where it separates itself from your traditional B12 ingredient out there. Again, that's cyanocobalamin. Cyanocobalamin's been out in the market for a really, really, really long time. And we're here to kind of tell people that there is a better option, and that's kind of where MecobalActive comes in.
Okay, so you come out with this ingredient. What next? Like, how do you get the word out there? And at some point, I assume, well, we know that you start doing research. You probably didn't just jump to human research, but maybe you did, because I guess there's some gaps in the research, as we've seen. So what do you see out there, and where's the gaps, and how do you fill them and everything, and where do we slot this ingredient in? That's kind of where I'm at.
So it starts with having experts, right? Experts like Dede to come and be able to tell us, hey, can you help us to be able to create science around such an ingredient? Because it's true. If you look at just an ingredient like methylcobalamin, again, it's been out for people that are aware. Of course, if you've been in this industry, you probably are familiar with it. You've seen it. But what a lot of people don't know is there actually isn't a lot of science in, let's say, a healthy population, showing or demonstrating some immediate health benefits from it. And like you said, that's the next step. That's what we did. Okay, we did the studies the study that has already been submitted, and we're very, very, very excited about it, because it's something that we've, I think, considered for many, many years. We finally were able to kind of execute it. And it doesn't stop there. I mean, as a company, right, that's driven by science, obviously we want to make a very good and unique quality product. We haven't even talked about manufacturing and how it separates itself. We're just talking about the science around it. And as far as I know, we're the only company that's done this for an ingredient like methylcobalamin. That's where. But what makes MecobalActive is not just that. There's other things to it, but I think that's what we're doing now. We're collaborating, of course, with partners such as you guys, right? You guys create great content. You guys got great listeners. And for us, we feel like this is a perfect venue to be able to kind of spread the word and get the word out, right? As best we can.
Okay, so where should we go? Should we talk? Would you like to talk about the manufacturing part of it while we're there, or we can get back to that and just get right into the science? I'll let
Um,
Teresa decide. I mean,
yeah.
but basically, so when you started developing with it, did you jump right to this human study, or did you have some other like internal research going on first? Like, what did you learn with it?
Yeah, nice question, Mike. Yeah, we know. We started, let's say, from the in vitro and built up to the in vivo and then to the human trials. Because, at HTBA, we're always pushing innovation to the limit somehow. And okay, we knew that okay, a lot has been published in the past about vitamin B12 supplementation in vitamin B12 deficiency cases and how well it goes. But we wanted to get to know a little bit more on the mechanism of action and then start from the cells and build up to organs and finally to humans. So what we decided is we tested in the lab using human-derived brain cells and neurons from mice. We put them in contact with MecobalActive and we checked what was going on. And what we could see there is that MecobalActive reduced what the so-called reactive oxygen species, or also known as ROS or roses, which are those nasty molecules that build up and damage your cells. So they were really lower down in the presence of MecobalActive. And we also could see that MecobalActive lowered cell death, which means that your neurons are living longer and being healthier. Okay, so we said, okay, we're going on the right direction. Okay, we know that it's touching on cells or neuronal cells because, as we mentioned some minutes ago, it has a lot to do with the quality and with this with the health of the nervous system. And then we decide, okay, we've seen that with these cells. Let's have a look at what happens in real brains. So then we jumped into the in vivo. So we took mice and stressed them, and stressed mice, let's say, have a different type of brain. And then we gave MecobalActive orally to those mice. And then there was a group that were given nothing, were given just placebo. And then what we saw in those mice that were treated were amazing. And that's where the whole story began to be really exciting. So on the one hand, we saw that the genes which are linked to inflammation, they were turned way down. It's like we repeated it because we thought, that must have been a problem. No. It was, I mean, we could really say, yeah, that's the case. All the controls were fine and those were really turned way down. Also, we saw that the cellular protection genes were switched on just by having been given orally dose of MecobalActive. And on top of that, we could see that the mice are more antioxidant enzymes, and which are the body's natural way to clean up for the oxidative stress. So like all the neurons in those brains were much healthier. And we could also see that the mice were healthier. So they moved more, they were less stressed. So vitamin B12 in cases of, or in moments of stress also can help you. And this is just moving a little bit to human indications. In cases of intoxication, pregnancy, people who might have starting after stress conditions in which you can see some cognition deficiencies, vitamin B12 is given. And we say, we know that, we've touched that, we've seen that in those mice. It was amazing, really. And on top of that, we could see also that those mice had less lipid peroxidation. A fancy word to say that the fat in their brains was healthier. And it is important because basically all our brains are made of fat. So the fat were healthier. So we said, wow, we are really in the right direction. And then we decided to go into humans. But we challenged ourselves. We said, we don't want to see the advantages of supplementing deficient people because this has been proved in the past. So we said, let's give MecobalActive to people whose vitamin B12 levels are normal and people who are active. So people who train normally, and then let's challenge them. Let's see what happens on their performance, physical performance, but also let's check on their cognition performance, cognitive performance. So we want to know if these people really, while taking MecobalActive in acute doses, these people were really performing better. And I will let Bernardo give you the answer. So what did we get?
Well, before
Did the excitement
I love it.
continue, or we? No, I mean,
I'm going to
Bernardo,
interrupt
please.
real quick before we let Bernardo get into it. How do you decide what the dose is going to be? Because I mean, a lot of times we see a huge range of vitamin B12 doses, ranging from just like 100% daily value to outrageous numbers. And so I guess like what do we do about dosing, and how did you select that?
Bernardo, you want to go with
I can comment. I mean, that there obviously it's you've heard Dede just talk about the process, right? I mean, and Ben, Mike, I don't know how intimate you are in terms of conducting some of these studies and kind of the steps that it takes to kind of actually execute one. But as you can see, obviously, we're very methodical in our process, right? It's not one of those where we're kind of just like, hey, we're making this stuff. What do we do with it? And like, let's go ahead and do a study because it's going to sound nice and we can launch it because we say we have a study. No, we're a scientific company. We're a pharmaceutical company at heart, right? That's how we originated from, right? And for us, this is kind of the mentality, right? So the people that we have here at HTBA, I mean, we have really, really impressive people. It's great to be able to have people like that join us here because she can explain it way better than I ever could learn this, of course. But the thing is, in terms of dosing, we look at science. Science is what's going to drive us, and we kind of come to a decision, right? In terms of a board, there's a group of people that kind of collaborate together and they look at the data and they pretty much determine this is where we're going to go ahead and do the dose. So to answer your question, it depends on the science. We're led by the science. That's what we do.
It's kind of interesting to listen to you guys, the priorities of how you guys got here, because it's a huge risk to run a study in the way that you guys did. One of the biggest scams in our industry is running studies on elderly, ill populations that are deficient or they are sick, or for whatever reason, giving them this supplement would elicit a great response. And you guys kind of picked the complete opposite. Not only did you pick healthy individuals, but you're also using a vitamin that most people will tell you is water soluble and won't matter if you give it too much to them, right? So like you were really kind of stacking the deck against yourselves to come out with something really interesting. Were you nervous running this study? Like when you were going into it, were you worried about the outcomes? Because this is a huge gamble and you guys seem quite confident about it. It's really impressive.
All right. Sorry, Ted. I was just going to say, I hope my bosses aren't watching this, but I mean, was I nervous? I mean, again, I'm the ignorant one. I don't know. I'm just thinking like to myself, like, what's the outcome going to be? But if there's anything for sure that I felt particularly confident about is that if we were going to do a study, we were going to do it right. I knew for sure we were going to do it right. We had the team and the people to do it. And that at least at night made me feel more comfortable about it. But of course, anytime you do a study, obviously your intention is to hope that you're successful with it. But you never really know because here, obviously, we're a commercial operation, right? We manufacture, obviously, to be able to present as a solution to the market. But of course, there's the academic part, right? We really do want to know. We actually would like to know because again, when it comes to HTBA, I mean, we could talk about what we produce and what we manufacture, but we talked about sustainability, kind of a responsibility and our impact to the world. Well, there's other ways to do that. The science we do as well. I mean, that's something we're going to share with the world, and it's something that should be. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No. I mean, I cannot agree more with you. I mean, that's they say the philosophy behind everything. So everything we do. So it's like we present the hypothesis. Yes, it was very challenging, nervous. I was really, excited to see. But I mean, it was a triple blind randomized trial. So everything was, I would say, done. We decided to go with that because we did not, as I say at the beginning, we want to innovate. We don't want to do me too, me better. We want to really hit. It needs not just hit the market, but we think that with this data that we will share with the world, we're also increasing the population health. In fact, I just come last week from a summit in London talking about health span, and it's absolutely our aligned. So we are there. We don't know how long we're going to live, but we want to make the most of the years that we're here. So definitely vitamin B12 is one example of a molecule that it's really helping you out, because upon the hallmark, there's a nice wheel telling you about the hallmarks of aging. Inflammation is one of that. But we did not know by the human trial. We knew from the first in vitro and in vivo. And that's why I said that we want to know exactly how it works and which are the molecular points that this molecule is working, our molecule, and I mean our MecobalActive, and then translate it to on real clinical data. But we would like to substantiate everything we do in science. And we think that our knowledge also is passed on to the final consumers, which will take it, and they will know that they'll take the best possible vitamin B12. And when we go into the production or manufacturing, just to let you know that we have a very, very clean profile of impurities, and that's incredibly important when you think that vitamin B12 will cross the blood-brain barrier, so it will go up to your central nervous system in your brains, and you don't want your neurons to mess around with impurities, which other other solutions have. You want to have the purest. So I guess that's one of the reasons why we were challenging, and we were challenged in the when we decided to do that clinical trial. But we were sure that if it worked, if a product should work, it should be our ingredient, because it's just the right thing, and it's the active one, and it's not messing around. So
Yeah,
sorry, I come from the science part, but it's, it's just so lovely, and it's just amazing. Really.
I hope that in the question it comes across that I mean that positively. Like there's clearly a passion and responsibility to change the viewpoint around your ingredient and B12 overall, because, for many perspectives, a lot of people wouldn't have, excuse the word, but gamble on it, because there are so many reasons that, people might have thought this wouldn't work out. But against all of that, I mean, this study is specifically what made us so excited about B12. I've been selling B12 since I was in retail. Like I was at GNC selling soft chews of B12, and I remember people saying that just gives you expensive urine. Like there are all of these like mainstream thought processes around this ingredient that when I met with you guys, I really got it all got turned upside down for me because of this study showing how much it can help people who are healthy, are active, and are not deficient in it. I mean, in so many ways, we see so many mainstream articles out there looking for controversy, saying that supplements are not useful if you're not deficient in these things. And you guys really blew that all apart with this study. So, it's just all of a way of saying kudos to you guys, because I know a lot of people that wouldn't have. If people don't know, studies are very expensive to run, especially at the level that you guys are running. This is not, it's some no-name study in the middle of nowhere. It is a lot of money to get into this stuff. So, with all that said, can we get into like the results of like what it really showed? Because I'm clearly excited about it.
All we know so far is this triple blinded, randomized, I think crossover, and then we started interrupting. So
yeah,
let's sorry. The floor is yours.
No.
Bernardo, the floor is yours.
The floor is mine. Sure. So let's start by sorry, Ben. Thanks for your comments. You threw a word out there that I really loved, because I think you could see when we talk about what we're doing, we're very passionate about it, right? You could see the passion. Obviously, in our scientists, or the scientists that I've met in my career, most I would say are maybe passionate in their own way, but not visibly passionate, right? Like we have people here at HTBA, and HTBA as a company, very, very passionate about what they do. I mean, we stand by it. We're firm to it. And again, I don't know if you have much experience working with a Spanish company. I mean, for us, there's a lot of energy around the room. So every day we come to work, I mean, we're thinking about how can we do things better? What can we do that's better? And again, we talk about B12, and a lot of people would argue B12's been done, it's not exciting. We're here to tell you we disagree. And I think that's what we're talking about. So when we talk about the science, let me first start by talking about something that doesn't get discussed or mentioned often enough, and that's the process. All right, so let's start there. So the process, so you guys are aware, HTBA has a patented green chemistry process. What does that mean? Well, in an obvious sense, nobody does it like we do. We're the only company in the world. Not only are we the only European manufacturer of this ingredient, but we're the only company in the world that does it this way. All right. So what we've done is we've actually eliminated as the catalysts or the methylation agents, right? Some of these carcinogenic ingredients that have been used historically, everybody has done it the same way, but to kind of align with our sustainability initiatives, or even I would say our innovation initiative, right? Because the whole point is how can we improve? How can we always get better? Well, we've done this. We've eliminated those ingredients, and now the end result is MecobalActive. Okay, MecobalActive is a product with fewer impurities, right? It improves safety profile, and I love what that has said because oftentimes you don't stop and think about this. You have an ingredient that's crossing the blood-brain barrier. I mean, I'm sorry, guys. I mean, we have one brain. I mean, that's something we really need to take care of. It's not like we can just do like, we can do bypass surgery or that's, it's very delicate. You got to be careful, or do a transplant, right? We can't do that. So obviously we need to protect it. All right. So fewer impurities, very, very important. The other thing is, of course, purity. This product has higher unrivaled purity, which as a result is unrivaled efficacy. As a matter of fact, the moisture content for our product is tighter than that you see on the Japanese pharmacopoeia or the United States pharmacopoeia, USP or JP. We exceed that, right? What does that mean? That means we have 50% less water than other vitamin B12s out there on the market. So it's a higher concentration at the same dose. Now, when you stop and think about manufacturing, all right, think about yourself manufacturing. If you know how to handle vitamin B12, which most companies, I would say, honestly do not, okay? But if you know how to handle it, I mean, this is going to be important to you because you usually have to account for a certain level of overage in your product, right? Just to compensate for the degradation, right? Because stability on the product, there are some challenges associated with it. So obviously having a purer or a more concentrated form of vitamin B12 means potentially less overage. And we have had some success stories with several of our customers and partners with that. We're very happy about that. The other thing is we obviously make a product that's more homogeneous, but a smaller particle size, which will help increase bioavailability and absorption. But going back to the moisture, all right, we talk about moisture and the impact it has on MecobalActive for an ingredient like methylcobalamin. Okay, moisture, I mean, breaks it down, right? Water breaks it down. And our product has a 5-year shelf life, right? On the market, I mean, we're 2.5 times much longer than the next closest competitor because of the way we manufacture. So it's something that I think needs to be said, and it's something that needs to be understood. Because when people say, well, it's methylcobalamin and it's MecobalActive, it's the same thing. No, it's not. And I actually don't like when people say that. And I think it's important that people understand that it is not the same thing. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to touch on that. So that's the manufacturing side. But I'd like Dere, who is our biotechnologist, to talk a little bit more about the study.
Okay, well, so to say the final results, so we had this group of people with the placebo and in the MecobalActive group. And then what we challenged them was with physical, so the Wingate taste, which are 5 spins, or 5 spins, I think they're called. And then we checked both on their power and on the fatigue. And what we found out is in the group that had been given the MecobalActive, these people had a 4.1 increase in physical power, which we were kind of amazed. And not only that, but the group of people had 6.4 less points of fatigue. So not
So
only
percent? Sorry for interrupting. But like
well,
4.1%
that's
increase?
the fatigue index, which is
Oh, okay.
yeah. So it means that these people were not only able to perform better, but they felt like they were less tired. Amazing. So
Cool.
that
Yeah.
was kind of wow. But then we took them on resting state after they have been supplemented, and then we made cognitive test, and that's so you have lights that have a certain pattern switching on, turning on and turning off, and then you have to follow it, and then you calculate how long it takes for you to let's say answer that challenging. So the shorter the time, the more focused you are and the more concentrated. And we saw a reduction in 4.9% of the response time. So not only were they more had better or higher power and less fatigue, but they were also more concentrated. So having done all these clinical trial with healthy people that were not, so we saw that really MecobalActive was helping them perform better, but not only in the physical performance, but also mentally. So that, as I said, it just is absolutely aligned with our purpose of making people healthier, but not healthy just now. I mean, now as they take it, but also in the long term. Because what you're doing, I mean, what you're taking now and what you're taking MecobalActive now, it's helping you now, but it's helping you to live a healthier life, however long it is. But your health span is affected by what you're doing now. And also because you have more power and less fatigue, you're gonna exercise more. And if any organ is going to be the organ of longevity, of healthy aging, is muscle. Because without it, you will have frailty, you will be dependent, you won't be independent. So definitely that product is just the one you have to take. And as you age, I would say more and more. And why? Because usually as you age, you tend to be less hungry, and you might have, how I say, teeth problems. So mastication and swallowing like meat can be complex. So you tend to take more, let's say, less meat. And so that means that you might even go into a deficiency. But if you supplement yourself with MecobalActive, you're going to have the active ingredient, which will help you keep this healthy life. So, I mean, we were amazed. As I tell you, I was very excited with the whole mice thing, but when we saw the results from
We're
the
very
clinical
passionate
trial,
about that, right?
yeah.
I hope it conveys. And guys, I know you probably, and I guess to the viewers, they hear these numbers, right? 6.4% or 6.4, 4.1, and it might sound like it's a little bit, but think about it for a second. I mean, you're talking about vitamin B12, right? Which is a product that is just, hey, historically it's been taken. I would say it was originally positioned just to treat or kind of address any risk of deficiency. That's how it was. It was just like, hey, let me just get my certain amount. It's in a multi. I get enough. But listen, I've done product development. I mean, if I'm a product developer, I'm all over this, right? Especially when it comes to some of these ingredients. I mean, we just talked about reducing fatigue and muscle power. I mean, when you think of muscle power, you're thinking of protein, you're thinking of amino acids, you're thinking of maybe even your creatines. I mean, you should be innovating with this together, right? Because it's also demonstrating that, hey, this ingredient actually works, and that's the part that's really exciting about it. This product historically has been thought about, hey, it's good for brain health, but not just that. It can also do this other thing. So for an active lifestyle, for a person that's trying to be live a happier life, this is a product for them, for everyone.
Yeah. Two huge sports nutrition trends that you guys are playing on are, number one, there's like a return to basics and science backed. Like, we're getting away from prop blends. We're getting away from these like crazy new novel ingredients. People want to be able to label read, like you were talking about like 30 minutes ago. People want to be able to read those labels. But when I was listening, talking about that, I was thinking about how many people read a nutrition label and skip over the B12. Just because they see it all the time. They see it on their energy drinks. They see fortified foods. They see it on pre-workouts. But what I like so much about this is that you are able to like make a claim on an acute change. You take this product and you feel it quite quickly. So you're getting back to science backed, you're getting back to data backed, and you're dealing with something that's very basic. B12 is very, very relatable. People know that it's safe. People know that they can take it. But now, the second trend that I mentioned is like people really want acute benefits. People want to be able to feel something in the now. They don't want to take something for 30 days before they start to see the benefits. That's the creatine holds that spot for most people. People want something that they feel right now. And especially with the fact that you can use this in beverage, you can use it in food, you can use it in ready to mix. There are so many different applications with it. I mean,
Absolutely.
it seems like a no-brainer. Like, you're going to put B12 in almost all these products. For years, Mike and I were taking B vitamins out of products because it was a cost that, like, you really couldn't put anything on pack about. But with this, you literally have claims you can put on pack, which is pretty incredible.
You do now. That's right.
I don't. Hey, I don't take methylcobalamin out. I don't always feel good from the cheap forms of vitamin B6. I will let you know that. But no, I'm a believer in methylcobalamin for sure, and even more so with MecobalActive. I'm sorry if I missed it, but we didn't talk the dose. Or I didn't hear it. It's 1 milligram, which is 1,000 micrograms is what you used, and on the supplement facts panel, that is 41,700% daily value in a an FDA based label. So it was a pretty legit dose, and this happened quickly. Like, this was basically an acute study. I'm not sure what we define as acute, but that's the one thing I want to talk about. Like, these were. And they weren't like rookie cyclists either, were they? I'm not sure.
No, I mean, listen, maybe by our standards they might be, but I mean, cycling is a big deal. I mean, when you talk about a cyclist, and I've spent a little bit of, and I had a lot of colleagues, industry colleagues from like the, old school endurance market before it actually became more of what it is today, right? I mean, we're talking like Power Bar days when it was like Power Bar back in those days, and like you're talking about hardcore, like cyclists. These, I would say, are not your everyday type of people. These are pretty in shape, pretty fit, pretty serious people. Let's be honest, and they're showing benefits. That's the amazing thing about it. These are people that are actually like, whoa. I mean, should they be feeling anything? And it's amazing that they are. One of the things, just kind of going back to the percentage, the daily value, vitamin B12 in our product, it's actually self-affirmed GRAS. Okay, this is a product that's, as they say, you can actually formulate it. Not only is it versatile in terms of formulation, but it's safe. I mean, this is the thing. We're not talking about something that has a very long history or maybe concerning for most individuals. Everybody's situation, of course, is different. But I mean, consider what it is. It's a vitamin B12, and I think that's what makes it even way more impressive. Is that, again, there's still innovation to be done, and I mean, we're just getting started is kind of the message. We're not even where we feel we should be. This is just the first step of all the things that we're working on for the future.
So what really is the difference between this and a generic that is causing like a real difference? Like, is there a mechanism of action, or is it the lack of impurities? Like, have you guys kind of brought that to a certain, like, do you know what that is?
We think it's the product itself. So basically the impurities profile has to do a lot. Also the bioavailability. So you're having the bioidentical form, which in terms of bioavailability, absorption and distribution is much better. Also the particle size, so it's small one, so you have a lot of, it's very bioavailable. So we would think that it has not been proved with other methylcobalamins other than MecobalActive. So, and I wanted to point out, and I think very quickly, just give me 1 minute, otherwise we could stay here forever. But so basically, you would absorb in the small intestine. So you will take it, and then it will leave your stomach and will be absorbed in there. But there's a part of it that might not be absorbed, and then it will go through the large intestine, and it will get in touch with your microbiota, right? So all the bacteria and microorganisms that we have there, which it's 1.5 kilos of our body weight, just for you to know. So it's a huge amount of them, and they are there to keep us healthy, okay? So this microbiota can also absorb part of that vitamin B12 that you would not absorb in the small intestine. But this is not the point. What I wanted to say is that there are articles out there showing that if you supplement with methylcobalamin, you are promoting the growth of beneficial butyrate-producing bacteria. While if you're supplementing yourself with cyanocobalamin, what you're promoting is the growth of toxin-producing E. coli. So that's just to say, it also might have an impact. And I have to say that we did not check on in our study, but that can also have a big impact, because your microbiota composition can be really a push also for you. And that has been published and it's out there in the public domain. And I think that it should be taken more into account. And we cannot disclose now, but just to let you know that we're studying, we are working on more clinical studies, trying to cope with mechanisms of action, side effects, other pleiotropic effects of vitamin B12. But I think it's fantastic to have a product that really is the one that you have in your body, and that so it's safe and your body knows it, and it's not going to generate antibodies against it, like cyanocobalamin, which is a stranger to our body. So this one is our friend.
Well said.
That's incredible. Yeah, it was not too long ago, episode 184, we got into butyrate. And so hearing that, that's probably something that you're going to want to dive into for like the gut health side of things, because the different forms of butyrate, we were talking about butyrogen in that episode, really fascinating science. So if you're helping out with that alongside of all the other cofactors that, metabolism, all that stuff that B12 is doing, then that's like a whole other like world of supplements that you could put this into. So
yes,
I would love to see more research on that. And that's another plus in the methyl side rather than the cyano side.
Absolutely,
okay.
Mike. And I cannot disclose, but we are going into those directions that you mentioned, definitely.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, we love the performance stuff. Like, don't get us wrong. We've kind of wanted that study forever. Like since the beginning of me blogging on PricePal, there's always the vitamin B12 like studies that we'd reference they were based on either elderly people or people in deficient states or vegans. It's like, this doesn't really apply to our pre-workout, but we'll kind of like write this anyway, and now we actually have something that is literally what we want. Like, here's a dose that has been shown to really quickly improve performance in people that have regular levels. That's it. Like, that's incredible to me. So thank you for doing this. I wish we would have had it 20 years ago, but as the phrase goes, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. And so
it's never too late. It is going to help you in 20 years time.
Exactly. Yeah. So now, are you taking that high of a dose on a daily basis, or what would kind of your daily dosage be if you are just like a weekend warrior type, guy who hits the gym 4 or 5 times a week?
Oh, I would say on a daily basis. I said,
Okay.
Absolutely. That's exactly what you would want to do. Yeah. Again, we have the science, and of course, when we say daily basis, MecobalActive, right? That's where you want to do it. Don't pick someone else's methylcobalamin. Pick MecobalActive.
Also, if you're taking a higher dose, you definitely want the cleaner stuff then, because
sure.
We talk about this with creatine and everything. If you're getting into 20 grams of creatine, which I don't know if it's totally necessary or not, we could argue about that some other time, but it's like you don't want 96% purity on a 5-gram dose, let alone 20-gram dose. So once you start getting into these higher doses, you definitely want to go for the good stuff.
It depends. I mean, I would say it always depends on what your goals are, right? Just kind of thinking of my retail days, right? It was always like, well, what is your goal? What is it that you're trying to do? Because everybody's different. So maybe it's someone that is looking for a specific benefit, and that's the thing. I think it's understanding what is it that they're trying to do. But this is where B12 is somewhat unique, because what we're discovering is that it's way more versatile than we ever thought before. We know what it has done historically, right, and what it's used for. But with this new science, we're finding out, whoa, maybe we just opened this whole can of worms, and there's actually a lot more than we realized, right? We talked about gut health as an example, right? It's a nice thing to look into, especially when you talk about longevity, healthy aging. I could speak about that from personal experience, but the thing is we're not going to live forever. So what do? The most important thing is be proactive for the health conscious individual. Obviously, education is key. That's why we launched MecobalActive website, right? We want everyone to go to MecobalActive.com, go look at the content, go look at the science. And this is not where it ends. We're going to be doing more. And as we are uncovering new science, we're going to start doing other things. And we have a lot of stuff that's planned for I mean, 2026, we had a meeting earlier today to talk about 2026 and kind of what we're going to do. And man, it's right around the corner, and we need to prepare for that, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
time is flying, but yeah, yeah. Hopefully, as long as you're coming out with more stuff like this, that's pretty cool. Like,
Oh, we are.
it's just greatly
Be on
appreciated.
the lookout. Yeah, we are.
Okay. Anything else about this study that that you wanted to share? I think we hit most of the spots and everything. One idea I had was if this is helping with red blood cells or something, there could be like an oxygenation type thing happening as well with endurance. I'm like almost wondering people who like to train at elevation or things like that. There's a lot of places you can go, but in terms of in terms of like the marketing side of things, I do think the gut health would probably be bigger than chasing little tiny corner cases that I'm thinking about in my head.
Well, when I picked up the three main physiological roles, I picked up energy, red blood cell formation, and brain health or neuronal function. There are plenty of them, including immune system. So for the correct immune system, you need vitamin B12. So they're very.
Did you guys know that, Ben, Mike, for immune system, vitamin B12? What that
I mean,
pointed out?
I would assume it almost, but no, I never really.
Right. Nobody
read
ever
about
really
it
makes the
specifically.
association. So
Yeah.
I think what Detta said is an actual
Yes.
good point.
So there's a very nice seminal paper showing that the white blood cells activation depends on two enzymes, of which vitamin B12 is a cofactor. Because these guys need, we didn't go that into detail, but they need their energy levels high to duplicate a lot and recognize the antigens, and that's what vitamin B12 allows them to do. So it's just not do we need it, it's which one we need.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So we need to MecobalActive.
Excellent. So Bernardo, I got to do this. Put you on the spot here. We are going to formulate. So what?
Okay.
We always like make up a fake supplement. I mean, an easy case, like everyone's creatine's on trend right now. A lot of people are looking for different angles in a creatine supplement. You basically just almost call MecobalActive and put 5 grams of creatine monohydrate together and have something. If you're going to make some sort of performance supplement along those veins, would you add anything else? Like, do you have any other ideas of something that would be fun to mix these two together with? Anything else?
There's so many. When I think about ingredients, there's so many out there. And again, not having done the product development side, been on the bench for a while now. I've seen a lot of repositionings. The science regarding creatine, for instance, the latest ones. Really, really impressive because historically you've looked at creatine mainly for I'd say sports nutrition, right? Bodybuilding, right? Now we're talking about like old school days where you're consuming a lot of dextrose, or you guys remember the creatine when you were consuming creatine monohydrate, grape juice, right? You're shaking it up. Now I'm dating myself, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we're showing
so-
your ages now.
Believe me, so we're going way back. So I think in terms of like ingredients, I've always been of this mentality, like, look, if I'm going to use an ingredient, I want to use a credible source of ingredient. It doesn't need to necessarily just have a brand name. That's not going to fool, for the experts out there, right? There are several of them. It's not going to fool us. We want to look at the science. We want to make sure the science is good and it's coming from reputable companies as well, right? Who are the ones, who are the minds behind this? I would say amino acids. I've always been fascinated with amino acids. I think there's several amino acids that have great benefits. I think they're also pretty versatile. There's a lot of them, and several of them, like vitamins, are essential. So again, I think you guys had talked about it. Start from, start with the basics. There are a lot of great technologies out there, and I think oftentimes the ones that people overlook. Not so much as it used to be, but I would say the basics. We have to go back to that because there's a lot of great stuff out there.
Excellent. Okay, thanks.
I don't
Do
know
you
if
have any
that
other
answered your
questions?
question or.
I was waiting for the formula or product to come.
That's what I was
Honestly, I was thinking nootropic. It's kind of funny because we keep talking. You asked me, do I know that B12 is important for immune function? Like, not necessarily do I know that specifically, but I know that it's required for many processes in the body, and so I know there's going to be a lot of downstream processes that are hurt if you're deficient in it. But it all, for me, it all starts in the brain. Like at least the way that I look at it with B12. Like we were talking about like livelihood and like improvements to like mental and emotional well-being. Like if your brain is healthy, you're going to feel better, and when you feel better, you perform better in many different ways. So when I think of making up a fake product, I think of brain health and nootropics. But I'm also an energy drink addict. That I think of how B12 can make me think better and perform better.
So one thing I'll say in terms of formulation, this comes for me as well. One thing that I've learned to embrace, and I would really encourage everyone out there, what we know, especially from the market data, is people are tired of pills, tablets. What I would say, maybe what I used to take a long time ago, right? Or my parents used to give me as a child. And one of the things I think we've done really well is, particularly over the last decade, is I've seen a lot of innovation, a lot of innovation. So, why do we call, for instance, this division functional health? Well, and why don't we just call it nutraceuticals? Well, part of it is because of the applications. They've changed. It's not what it just used to be. A lot of people are innovating. A lot of people are making, in terms of launches, beverages, confectionaries, edibles. It's just changed so much, and I think it's great because when we push the envelope and we create those sort of applications, we're not only challenging ourselves, right, in terms of innovation, but we're also, I think, we're listening to what consumers are saying. And if we want to capture more of the audience, which I think is the goal at the end of the day for a lot of these companies, is you need to be receptive. You need to listen, and that's why, as a company that has an expertise in science and manufacturing, oftentimes we may miss that. And I think that's something that we've done very well since I've been here, right? It's certainly changed. I mean, I mentioned earlier before, mental and emotional well-being is the number one health goal for consumers based on our marketing analysis. Well, the other thing to follow is also vitality and energy. So to answer your question, why are we doing some of these claims? I mean, we have to listen to the consumers, obviously the science, but we also listen to what consumers are looking for, and that's kind of how this whole thing kicks off.
I'll say this again, at the end of the day, I know in like absolute terms that consumers are looking for things they can feel. And even, I know gut health is really popular right now, but especially like new consumers to nutraceuticals or people who are taking their first step into wellness, like they want to feel something when it happens. And that's one of the things I'm really excited about MecobalActive, is just that even if it were in a gut health product, I expect that consumers would say, I felt better taking this product, maybe not just in their gut, but in their well-being overall. And that's one real strength that I see for the product, is that no matter what you add it to, you're adding an acute mental benefit. You're adding an acute performance benefit. Even if you're not a cyclist, better output and better endurance are going to find their way into your life, whether that's your trip up the stairs or moving a couch with your friends. When you feel better, I think that changes your perception on life. And I think that's a really important topic that your product can kind of play with, even if it isn't a gut product. So I immediately go to, energy drinks and pre-workout and nootropics, but that claim is not specific to that niche. We recently made a confectionery with it for supply side, that when people were consuming it, yeah, like that was what was so cool about it. It's like, many ingredients of that product, there are GLP boosters or appetites, whatever, but like this one core part of it changed the way that your brain felt for the day, and people report that kind of change in their life, even if it's like a small category of the entire product. So. Sorry, I'm ranting.
No,
but when
no,
it comes to products, I'm excited about the ingredient because it can add a very seemingly small thing, but it can change your perception of something that you're consuming.
Well, not to get off topic as well. I mean, you threw out GLP-1 out there. All I need to say is you guys need to be on the lookout for what we're doing, because there's exciting stuff there as well. There's a lot, and again, there's a long list. We want to talk more about it for sure. And right now, what we're doing is making sure that we're preparing. Right. There's a lot to do. It's not very simple. It's not, again, let's call a university. Let's send them some product and get some people from their class and go ahead and mix it and take it and document it. That's not how we do it. And again, that's something to be proud of. So we have people that are not only experts, but it's also important that they have that energy and that passion for what we're trying to trying to accomplish. It makes it so much easier when you're working with in a collaborative with a lot of not only like-minded individuals but also like-hearted, right? It's really great because it really helps us to actually aim for our objective and get to that finish line that we all aim for. So it's so great. This everything you guys do, the product you did, by the way, not only was it like awesome out of the box thinking and delicious, I was particularly impressed with how quick it was. I still can't believe how fast you guys did that. That was just unbelievable. So congratulations for
Kudos, yeah.
successful for that. Yeah.
Yeah, we were just excited to have your ingredient in it, honestly. And actually, I was thinking about this earlier. When we were in the product development stage of this, Mike and I met with some of your team at IFT, where you guys were really talking about this, confectionaries and ready-to-consumes and stuff, which is it's just cool. I mean, you guys had popcorn that was nootropic. I mean, that was very cool. But we had originally pitched your team the idea of a different product with B12. And when you were talking before about how you handle B12, it is a very sensitive ingredient. Immediately, your team said, it won't work in that application, so we can't do that with you. And I thought that spoke a lot to your guys' responsibility and your transparency, because I know a lot of companies that even if the product wouldn't work, would have wanted to be involved for the marketing opportunity. So the fact that you guys knew exactly like the manufacturing process, and if your ingredient wasn't going to really be the quality that you wanted it to be, that your team wasn't really interested. It spoke a lot to, just kind of the quality that you guys stand behind. So the photosensitivity thing was a brand new thing I was learning about B12 as well.
I mean, think about it. How many products out there in the market? And I'm sure, I mean, you guys have seen this. I've certainly have seen this. How many products are failing? They do consumer like testing after. I mean, you do your your lab stuff, but I mean, I've seen people that are publishing informations on brands, and they're taking a product off the shelf and they're testing it, and surprise, it's missing some of these ingredients. So I think when it comes to transparency, right? As far as that, I mean, you want to use. I think it's important to use a good quality product, and not only have a good product, but be able to work with experts that know what they're doing and know how to handle it. I mean, that's why Ben, Mike, I mean, I don't know, you guys need to coordinate with us so we can get you out to Spain so you guys can actually go and take a look at the facilities, because to tell you it's impressive, I mean, I've been to a lot of facilities in my career all over the world, and I mean, not only are you in Spain, beautiful country, which we're surrounded by citrus farms around us. I mean, that's our core. But I mean, we have a beautiful facility. We've made a significant investment over the last several years, and I mean, it doesn't end there. We're going to continue to do that, and we want to thank you for helping us to get the message out.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for, I mean, all that we've done together. I don't think, well, I would say it's not very difficult to convince us to come to Spain, because it sounds like a really great trip. It's just only halfway across the world, but the interest is absolutely there. I think we'd love to see everything from the oranges to the processes that you guys have.
I was in Spain in 2005, Valencia I went to, and I absolutely loved it. Completely loved it. I came in more excited because I am an Italian American. I came in more excited to go to Italy, and I came away thinking that Spain is the coolest country ever. It was beautiful.
They're like cousins, It's like
I liked it a lot better in Spain, to be honest. It was phenomenal. So yeah, I would never say no to an invitation. We just have to work at the schedule.
Yeah, well, you're more than invited, and we'll be very happy to show you around. Definitely.
Awesome.
So you can see with your own eyes everything we do. Yeah.
The process would be very cool to see.
It's amazing.
All right. Well, yeah. So where do we follow you? You've mentioned a couple of websites. You have HTBA.com, which is awesome. And then MecobalActive.com. That'll be in the show notes. For you personally, are you too active on LinkedIn or any other media networks? And then the company as well. Any social media platforms to follow?
Yes.
Yep.
You can follow us there. We're pretty active there. Yeah.
Okay. I'll have them in the show notes and everything, and so that will be that. And is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I'd just like to thank you. It's been really a pleasure, and for me, really, I love to be here. I saw the podcast you did with Edwin, and I was kind of amazed. I said, I want to be also there. And when they asked me if I wanted to join, I said yes right now. So it's like now here in my time, it's 7:30 p.m. But I'm really amazed. I just can't imagine we've been here for more than 1 hour talking about vitamin B12 and innovation and your input. So I really loved it. So I have to say I'm a bit new in these arenas. So I used to be more just on the R&D, but thanks to Bernardo and his team, I'm more involved in that. And I love it because I can talk for ages. So you have to stop me. So thank you,
We're
thank
very
you, thank you.
excited that
Thank
we
you,
get
Mike.
to use
Thank
that
you.
biotechnologist to come on our side, right?
Yes.
To be able to explain this. It's so awesome.
And the passion comes through completely 100%. Like you love your ingredients, and that is such a great thing because it's not just, shilling the same thing over and over. We talk about the same pre-workout all the time. Like this is, I can just see how much you love this and how cool this study was and how it's going to like springboard everything. So really excited to follow in the future.
No, thank you guys. And from my side, thank you for, again, for doing this. We're very proud of the collaborative. You guys create some awesome content. I've had the opportunity to see several interviews. You have some friends of mine on there that have been featured, so it's also good. And then for mine, it's a lot of fun to be able to go back and talk about these things. I mean, this is something that I really haven't had to talk about in a long time. I just mentioned creatine with grape juice, for instance. I'm like, it just came to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, where did that come from? I forgot those days where you're like chugging it. It's like, ugh. But anyway, no, thank you. This was a lot of fun. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys.